All right, guys, a little bit of a jump scare here. Miss Mormon is now at home. It's the same day. I might actually just move onto the floor. Same day. Just went and worked out. So my hair's all gross. Anywho, all right. So what we are doing now is we're going to do the exact same thing that we did with lines 1 through 24, but this time we are now going to do it from lines 25 all the way through 108, which essentially is well, not even essentially, it is the whole entire poem. Woot-de woot woot. All right, so The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Let me get myself all comfy and ready for you guys. Notice again that you have a ton of words. I'll do the same thing where we'll kind of talk about them, but all right, so I'm going to read lines 25 through 30. And throughout this whole entire thing, you are noticing and wondering. Again, remember that you made a prediction. And the idea of this is not only to notice and wonder about the rest of the poem, but also to try and figure out, was your original prediction correct? All right, so in our next stanza, we have the word peer. And Poe uses it as peering, and then we have mortal. Peering means to look closely. So if somebody is peering at you, they are looking at you carefully, and a mortal is a human being. So remember, it ended off where the main character was listening to this rapping, tapping at the chamber door, and he says that I scarce was sure I heard you, like I could hardly hear you, and I opened the door wide, and darkness there and nothing more. So nobody was there. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting dreaming dreams no mortals ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken and the stillness gave no token. And the only word there spoken was the whispered word, Lenore. Thus I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, Lenore. Merely this and nothing more. So Lenore, if you haven't figured out yet, is a person. A girl. All right, so let's take a look at the next stanza. So this would be 31 through 36. We have only one here, which is a lattice. And a lattice is a frame or structure made of crossed wood or metal strips. So a lot of times you will see a lattice ivy like grows up it, or a lattice might be like underneath a porch. A lot of the times it's white or wood, and it's basically, if you think of a bunch of wood strips that go this way and then a bunch of wood strips that go this way, and they kind of create diamonds. All right, so it says, back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. Surely, surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thread is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind and nothing more. All right, our next one has 5. We have flirt your. Oh, I always say this word wrong. Obeisance, mean, and palace. Okay, flirt in this particular case is a sudden movement. So we're not talking like, hey there, kind of flirting. We are talking about like you're like almost like in the crossover. Remember when that ball was flirting with the rim, right? It's a sudden movement. Your is in the past. So if morrow is like the next day, your is something that is in the past. Obeisance is a movement of your body, such as bowing, that shows respect for someone or something. Mean is a person's appearance or their facial expression. And Pallas is Athena, who was the Greek goddess of wisdom. Here we go. Open here I flung the shutter, when, with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. So remember, this guy, our main character, is opening up his door. He's hearing this rapping. Nothing is there. He's hearing the name Lenore being kind of whispered towards him. And then you also then have he flings up open the shutter like his curtains, and he can still hear it, but what flies and goes and sits on the bust of Athena is going to be a raven. All right, here's our next one. We have words ebony, beguiling, decorum, countenance, shorn, craven, ghastly, plutonian, quoth, and nevermore. All right, so ebony is something very dark or black. Usually it's just the color. So if you ever think about playing the piano, you have the white keys and the black keys. A lot of the times they will call the black keys the ebony keys. Beguile is a trick or deceive somebody. Decorum is the correct or proper behavior that shows respect. So if you have good decorum, you have proper behavior. Countenance means the appearance of a person's face. Shear is to cut off like wool if you shear a lamb. Craven, having or showing a complete lack of courage. So somebody who is cowardly. Ghastly, something very shocking, like, oh my gosh. Plutonian is related to the world of the dead. Quoth is said. And nevermore is meaning it's never happening again. So then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou, I said, art sure no craven, ghastly, grim, and ancient raven wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore, quoth the raven. Nevermore. All right, then we have ungainly, foul, discourse, and bore. Ungainly is moving in an awkward or clumsy way. Those of you guys have seen me walk in the classroom, I would definitely be described as ungainly walking. Foul is a bird of any kind. Discourse, the use of words to exchange thoughts and ideas. And bore is to have something as a feature or characteristic. So if I said like Mrs. Mormon bore a green sweatshirt. All right. Much I marveled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevance bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such name as Nevermore. Starting to get a little bit more confusing, right? So we know that this raven is sitting there. All right, here's our next one. We've got the word bust, and we have the word uttered. Bust is a sculpture. Remember, if you actually go back, it talks about upon a bust of Pallas. Remember Athena, who is a Greek goddess. The bust is like the head. It's like a sculpture. A lot of the times you'll see them in museums. It's not real. It's like metal or wood or rock, I guess. So a bust is like that. Utter is to say something. So if you utter something. All right, but the raven sitting lonely on the placid bust spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, other friends have flown before, on the morrow he will leave me as he hopes have flown before. And then the bird said, Nevermore. What does nevermore mean again? Not happening again. Okay. So, and by the way, we're going to dig into this poem the next day. So right now I'm not really going through and explaining exactly what is happening. You're just making predictions and looking to see if your original prediction is true. All right. Our next words are aptly, dirges, and melancholy. Melancholy. I can't say that. Melancholy. There we go. All right. So we've got aptly means appropriately or suitably. Dirge, a slow song that expresses sadness. And melancholy is feeling or showing sadness. So all of this is really, really sad. Edgar Allan Poe was just that type of a poet. Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken. Doubtless, said I, what it utters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of this hope that melancholy burden bore, of nevermore. All right. Now we have ominous. Ominous is suggested that something bad is going to happen. If something feels ominous, it's like you don't know what's going to happen, but it feels icky. But the raven still beguiling all my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking nevermore. So this bird is still sitting there at the threshold, right, when he opens up this door, and it is still saying nevermore, which is like it's not happening again. What the heck? Why? All right, our next one, the word is divining. Divine means to discover or understand something without having direct evidence. So if something divine happens, a lot of the times, if you can't explain it, it's just divine. All right. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing, to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining, on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamp light gloated o'er. But whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er, she shall press, nevermore. Okay, she. Remember at the very beginning, we're talking about Lenore. And then we have the raven. What the heck does this poem even mean? All right, now we have censer, seraphim, wretch, respite, nepenthe, and quaff. All right, so censer is a container that holds burning incense. And by the way, make sure that you're actually following along with all of these words, because censer sounds like it would start with an S, but it's actually a C, and you're going to need to know all that. Seraph is a type of angel that is described in the Bible, an angel of the highest rank. Wretch is a very unhappy or unlucky person. If you say, what a wretched person, like what an ugh. Okay? Gosh, you guys are going to learn some really good words here. Respite, a short period of time when you are able to stop doing something that is difficult or unpleasant. So it's like a break. Nepenthe is an ancient drug that helps people forget sadness and pain. Quaff is to drink a large amount of something quickly. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, respite, respite and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. So like, give me a break. I can't handle all of these memories about Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Quoth the raven, drink large amount of something? What the heck, Edgar Allan Poe? Don't worry, we're going to figure it out. All right, now we're almost done. We've got tempest and balm in Gilead. Tempest is a violent storm, often used figuratively. And balm of Gilead, I might be saying that wrong, is a medicine mentioned in the Bible. All right. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, whether tempter sent or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore. So I don't know how you got here. Desolate yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore. Is there balm of Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Almost done. 3 stanzas left. All right, so our next word that we have are laden and Aden. Oh, those rhyme. I wonder if that goes with poetry. Laden is loaded heavily with something, having or carrying a large amount of something. So if you're laden with something, oh my gosh, I am laden with carrying all of these groceries. And then Aden is a paradise. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil. So I don't know if you're good or bad. By that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden if within the distant Aden. It shall clasp a sainted maiden whom the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, quoth the raven, nevermore. All right, fiend and plume. Fiend means an evil spirit, a demon or a devil, and plume is a feather or group of feathers on a bird. Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked upstarting. Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart and take thy form from off my door, quoth the raven, nevermore. Get out of here. Leave me alone. Last one is flit and pallid. Flitting is the way it's used, but flit is to move or fly quickly from one place to another. And pallid is somebody who is very pale in a way that suggests poor health. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming. And the lamp light o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor. And my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. All right, that's it for now. Go ahead to the next slide. You'll kind of see what your next thing is.